This is the Fujifilm 16 to 55 millimeter f2.8 zoom lens, and today the review is being filmed on the X-T5. The lens is currently on the camera body. Let's see what this lens has to offer. All right, so this 16 to 55 f2.8 is coming in at a price point of $1,200. Now, because this review is filmed during the holiday season, you can currently get $100 off the price of this lens. So it is on sale just for a tiny little bit. What is this lens? Well, it's an X-mount lens. It is an APS-C format lens, not full frame. So that means that the zoom range, right? This is a 16 to 55 millimeter lens, but whenever you actually put it on the APS-C body and you take into consideration the crop factor, it actually becomes a 24 to 84 millimeter equivalent, all right? So keep that in mind. That's essentially the focal length that you are getting. The aperture range is 2.8 to 22, and all throughout the zoom range, you can keep it wide open at f2.8. It doesn't close down any. You can keep it nice and bright the whole way through. Now, this lens does boast a clickable aperture ring, and it does not have a hard stop between f22 and the automatic aperture setting. It just slides right through. There is no hard stop to get you to the end of the aperture range. It goes right through to automatic, so that's something to be aware of. Now, a nice kind of tactile thinking function of the aperture ring is that there are consistently 3 clicks in between each marked stop on this lens. Now, the lens that I received has some very heavy use on it. It's scratched up, it's marked up. This is not a brand new edition of this lens. And so what I can say is that after a lot of wear and tear on this lens, the aperture ring will start to lose and skip over the preset clicks. And what I mean by that is, brand new, the aperture ring has 3 clicks in between each aperture stop. Well, as the lens grows older and you use it more and more, what is going to happen is it's not going to be 3 clicks. Maybe it's going to skip over a couple and only be 2, or maybe even just 1 click between each stop. So the clicks do kind of wear out over time. Now, fresh out of the box though, this is a great aperture ring. Talking about the zoom ring, it's quite a small amount of rotation that is required to fully zoom out to 55 millimeters. It's about 50 degrees of rotation, and the barrel does extend throughout that process. Now, the barrel extension is nice and smooth. There's no catching, there's no sticky spots throughout the zoom rotation. So that's a nice thing to look out for. And then finally, you have the focus ring on the lens barrel, and the focus ring is about half the width, the depth of the zoom ring, and this rotation of the focus ring is properly smooth. Now let's talk about autofocus real quick. Autofocus is generally very reliable and very accurate. However, there are examples and there are instances where it did struggle. For instance, in the footage that I'll pop up really quick, the river is taking up the majority of the frame, and we've got the branches just kind of in the top corner. Now, what was annoying here is that it was demanding that the focus go to the branches and not the river, even though the river is what was in the majority of the frame. So that was a little bit frustrating. As far as face tracking goes for this lens in autofocus, it lags slightly behind the subject. And again, something I do need to clarify is that I am primarily a Sony user, right? So I'm used to Sony's quick, sharp, reliable, and fast autofocus. So maybe that's just a Fujifilm thing where it's just a little bit slower. But because I'm coming from the Sony platform, keep it in mind, I found that this lens autofocus was a little bit behind where you want it to be. It wasn't as bad as the 16 millimeter, where it was like half a second behind. However, this one is still a little bit behind, but maybe that's just because it's Fujifilm and I'm coming from the Sony platform, right? So take that into consideration. Focus breathing. This lens did a very impressive job when it comes to examining its flaws and going through those tests. So focus breathing, it was very, very minimal, almost next to no focus breathing on this lens. It looks very clean as you see it get pulled in and out of the office. And something else we're gonna look in at this same type of footage is we're going to be looking for chromatic aberrations. And so looking at the window frame at the top, it is completely overexposed, right? It's blown out, the highlights. And as we shift our focus, we're not seeing, or we are seeing extremely, extremely minimal fringing on the window. So that is very impressive, the way that this lens handles chromatic aberration. A very impressive performance here indeed. Now, let's wrap this review up and let's talk about my personal experience using this lens. When it came to quick focus pulls, like kind of snap, focusing really quickly over a large distance, it led to some very choppy looking footage. It makes it look almost as if the video is like skipping through. It's a very juddery, weird thing. It's an electronic juddery focus pull compared to if you were using a mechanical manual focus pull. It would be quick, but it would still be smooth. But you can see it's skipping over. So that's really quite odd. And if you compare it to when I did a nice and slow focus pull, here's a footage of me testing for aberrations using wide open aperture on the book that is open before us. You're gonna see it's nice and smooth. It's nice and smooth. When I go slow, it's nice and smooth. And again, maybe this is a result of the lens that I've been given being a very well used version. However, that's kind of disappointing that over time that would wear out. So please let me know down in the comments if you have this lens and if you've had it brand new and this is just an issue with the lens. I don't know if this is something that's gonna just happen over time or if this is something that's brand new right out of the box. Because again, this lens that I'm using is a used version of it. It's scratched up, it's marked up, as you can see in the product photos. So let me know if you have this lens and this is a genuine issue all throughout the lifetime of the lens, or rather if this is just something that happens when it grows older. Yeah, it just started skipping whenever you do that quick focus pull. So that's pretty odd. Wrapping this up, right? Let's bring it to a close. It would be really nice. I would love it, right? Because this is a $1,200 lens, right? You're forking out $1,000 plus cash for yourself. So what I would like to see is I would like to see a zoom lock on the camera body, because right now this lens, right, it's got barrel extension and there's nothing to lock it in place at the 16mm mark. So I'd like to see a zoom lock be put in place for a price point of $1,200. All right, love to see a zoom lock on there. Additionally, I'd like to see not having weird stuttering issues whenever I'm doing a quick focus pull. I'd like to see it, quick but smooth. I want to see a nice smooth result. So for $1,200, that's something else I'd like to see. However, on the other hand, the great positives of this lens is that it has very minimal faults. It has very minimal flaws. You're going to get an exceptionally clean image. You're going to get exceptionally clean footage out of this lens, as long as your subject doesn't move too fast, right? So once more, I'll do a little bit of quicker face tracking, right? I'll move in here a little bit quicker and a little bit out, but whenever it's going to be, even faster, then the autofocus did have problems with faster moving subjects. So with this lens, keep it slow, keep it smooth, and it will be all right. All right, that's the lens. It looks great. Just watch out for lightning quick focus pulls and make sure your subject doesn't move too fast. If you follow those rules of engagement, you're going to enjoy the lens. If you'd like to purchase the lens, the links are down below. You can go ahead and check those out. Here is if Dustin Abbott has a review, then it will be linked above right here. So you can check out how this lens performs in regards to photos. I know that in my personal usage, I can say it was really nice for photos. So reviews up there, check it out, links down below. Hope you have a wonderful day. Take care, and remember to let the light in.